Thank you both for being here. You know, you touched on it, Gavin, but I want to talk about really what is, in my considered, New York's dirty little secret. And the dirty little secret is, we used to be energy independent, and we have higher standards when it comes to emissions. And now, we've shut down the NRG plant in my district in Dunkirk, which was converting to natural gas. And what did we do? We spent hundreds of millions of dollars to run transmission lines to the dirtiest coal plants in Pennsylvania, like Homer City. So, to me, this is just a shell game. The reason that nobody here is actually talking about it is that we're going to convert to zero emissions in New York while we ramp up the dirtiest coal plants in places like Homer City to back up and be the real reliability. So we are exporting jobs, good union jobs, and in the end, we're actually going to increase and not decrease emissions on a global level. So can you just address the importing of power and the increase that we've seen?
Yeah, just for the benefit of the committee, we import on a daily basis, on average, 70 to 80,000 megawatts of electricity every day. Some is dirty, some is clean, some is renewables, but we import a ton of electricity in the state every day. And to your point, Senator, we've exported our, and lost control to some extent, our energy portfolio because we have not repowered facilities. And I think that repowering is an important part of the answer here, and we haven't done that. Your statement is right on the mark. I don't want to be here and have us keep, having to import more power because we do this incorrectly.
Yeah.
And that was my point earlier.
Exactly, and we know natural gas is much lower in emissions than coal, and yet here we are. We're not looking at a responsible transition plan. This is New York's really disjointed plan. In the end, is actually going to increase global emissions and not decrease. We're just not going to produce it here. We're going to move it down the road to states that have lower standards. So it's, I can tell my wife I'm on a diet and eat salad at home, but if I've got a drawer full of candy bars at my office, I'm not getting anywhere.
That's right.
And that's really New York's climate change plan, in my opinion, is we're going to pretend that we're doing something about global climate change while we're destroying reliable forms of energy.
We really need a national program is what we need.
Yes, exactly.
Not a state-by-state
Yes.
program. We need a national program.
Yeah, so I'm going to just move on a little bit. So natural gas, obviously, I live in Western New York. We were hit by these storms. People died, unfortunately, but I think a lot more people have died if we were relying solely on electricity. You had 20, as in just 20 outages?
Under 20, yeah.
Yes. Do you know how many electrical ballpark in Western New York?
I know you have, more than 100,000.
More than 100,000
But
versus
I
20.
know our power company is going to be here today and worked valiantly to restore power. But,
Absolutely.
But not, yes.
Right. So, my neighbor is on oxygen, and she has a generator that's powered by natural gas. How are generators going to work without natural gas?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. Yeah, solar. So we're going to import power, we're going to kill natural gas, and we're going to threaten more lives because we're going to rely solely on electricity. I just don't understand how this is going to work, and we're going to do it in 7 years. Actually, the professor said he wants to stop the natural gas to new buildings in less than 2 years. Actually, he wants to go back to, I think, a year, if I'm not mistaken, a year from now. So you won't be able to build a new building, a new home, a new business that's powered with natural gas in less than 2 years. So how's that going to work?
I guess, and we didn't have time to go through all this, but, one pathway that we think is really important is hybrid heating. And so, and we've worked with National Grid in our region in Western New York. We've done joint presentations on this. We just think it's a pathway that gets you the emissions reduction, yet you have two forms of energy into the home. And we just think that, from National Grid's perspective, when they looked at our region, which is Zone A of the New York ISO, it would require to electrify heat in Western New York, and I know I'm just talking Western New York, but that's what I know, it would be a 4 times multiple that you would have to build out the grid, and that's at the power gen level, and then also the local transmission and delivery system would need to be rebuilt. All that would have to be done, and it would have to be paid for, presumably, by ratepayers. So, in the meanwhile, we have a gas system that can deliver, now, that's mostly paid for by ratepayers. So why not come up with the best combination of both? That's a pathway that I've advocated for. The door is a little bit open for it in the plan, but not if you have bans on appliances starting in '25 and then '30.
And just real quick, because I'm out of time, the $270 billion estimate, you were on the Climate Action Council. Where'd that come from, or do you think it's anywhere close to correct for converting?
I couldn't get behind those numbers, and I think I think it's low. That's my opinion.
Short answer to that, I think when NYSERDA comes in, you should ask them,
Yeah.
because that's coming out of
Good
the.
thought, thank you.